You're listening to the Jan Price Show, all about movies. And today, my guest are award-winning producer, writer, director Judson Monroe, an award-winning artist, and the subject of this award-winning documentary entitled Holy Frit. Welcome to the show, Justin and Tim.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having us.
Great to have you both here. This is a very exciting documentary. It's a nail biter to the very end. It really fascinating. Justin, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what Holy Frit is all about?
Okay, well, Tim Carey down there in the square below me, he and his company, Judson Studios, out of Los Angeles, a little boutique stained glass company, bid for the biggest stained glass project in the world, of the biggest stained glass in the world. And they beat out 60 other companies, the biggest and the best, except Tim, immediately following winning the bid, said, "Oh, crap. I don't exactly really know how to pull this thing off. So I have the biggest thing on my shoulders that's ever been, and I don't quite know how to make it." And so he, in a desperate search, went searching for someone that might be able to help him, and he found a maestro named Narcissus Quagliata, if you can imagine that.
Yes.
And from there, insanity ensued. So there you go.
Say the least. Tim, what possessed you to do this to begin with?
To do what? You mean to design something I couldn't make?
Yes, exactly.
You know, what possesses anybody to do stupid things? I guess confidence, maybe a false sense of security, having, been an artist for long enough to have ventured into places like this before. I mean, I had tackled projects before this one in different ways, murals, paintings, other types of commissions, glass pieces that I didn't really know how to do. I think I am a person who gets bored easily, so I like to set up a challenge for myself. And truth be told, I just really, really wanted our company to win this job. And I just had this gut feeling that we have to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And if that means we set something out on the horizon that we have to try to get to, come hell or high water, that's what we do. And that's what we did. And it's kind of like, be careful what you wish for, because we got it. And then, you're just hoping at that point that things fall into place. And they really did. The way it worked out, Narcissus sort of fell into my lap. An advertisement for his class came up, and I didn't even know what was possible with fusing glass. So things started to happen in a way that it just kind of like, I don't know. I'm going to do something weird here. I'm going to quote Oprah, because I just saw something a little bit ago where she says, if you set up challenges and know where you want to go, the circumstances will rise to meet you. I kind of felt like that happened here.
Exactly. And it did. And it really did. But oh my goodness. I mean, you went through a lot, obviously, because this was over 3 years, correct?
Yes.
Reading of this. And this is the world's largest stained glass. It's still the largest, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's a question of who you're talking to. When stained glass is mentioned, it can be, many windows surrounding a church. It can be an architectural element that wraps around or covers a building. As far as I'm concerned, and I think most people would agree, as a single image, one large image, there has not been a stained glass window ever made that's this size. That's what I would say.
Amazing. It's just amazing. And it's absolutely stunningly beautiful too, the finished product. Justin, how did you get involved in this project? How did this all come about?
Well, as one does, they just move into South Pasadena and just happen to be next door to Tim Carey. I did not know him. I moved into South Pass, and he was my neighbor.
You're kidding.
And no, I mean, that's how it works. And, as neighbors do, you hang out, you chat about what each other does, you have a few beers. And then through the course of our dialogue, he found out I was a filmmaker. He was a stained glass artist. And he said, "Oh, my goodness, we're bidding for this huge thing, and we need to stand out among the people we're bidding against, right?" And so he asked me if I would film a little promo video to go with their pitch, to help them make them look cool, right, and stand out. And so I came down to the studio, and immediately fell in love with the place. I could not believe what I was seeing and feeling. And so as they were telling me about this project, I just kept asking more questions and then asked, would you let me come and start filming? Because I thought if they get the job, they're going to want this moment before anything happens.
Mhm.
And so that's really how it started. We just moved next door to Tim Carey. That's it.
Amazing. Well, let's talk about the Judson Studio, because they're everybody is a part of this film. There's not one one person, not one company that isn't involved in this film as a character in it. So let's talk about Judson, because they're really kind of fascinating. Tim, you worked with them for 14 years. So why don't you give us a little background of Judson?
Yeah, Judson Studios has been a family-run stained glass studio in Los Angeles since 1897, still going strong. And I just stumbled upon them because I knew somebody who worked there, and I didn't realize that they even existed. They're tucked into this tiny little neighborhood in Highland Park, and you would never know they were there. But then you walk in, and it's sort of like this sort of time warp. You go into this old building with old cobblestones and all this rich history. And they've been 5 generations strong making stained glass in this area for places all over the world, for churches and for secular buildings and for libraries. And so when I walked in there, I fell in love with the craft, and David Judson, the owner, let me be a part of everything that was going on. And I brought my artistic sensibility there. And for all that, for 14 years, we made a lot of magic at that studio. And it was a great time in my life. It introduced me to this material, which I never even knew was going to love, and I fell in love with it. And so, yeah, Judson is a historic place here in Los Angeles that if you haven't had a chance, they do tours, so it's worth heading over there and doing a tour and checking it out.
They do. Now, had they done tours prior to this?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's a historic building. It's incredible, and so people who know about it, they do tours. I think they do them monthly, and now they have a second facility which does all the fusing, which is not that far away in South Pasadena. So it's a great place to see. There's a lot of eye candy.
Is it the second facility, the one that's actually in Holy Frit? Did they keep that
Yep.
one?
Yep, it's still
Okay.
going. Yeah, it's
Still
still
going.
there. They're about a par 5 away from each other, about 500 yards away.
Wow. Wow. And I know they were and again, everything was at a deadline. You're constantly at a
We
deadline.
had to stop working on the window in order to get the new building ready. It was crazy. So we hustled and did everything we could to push the city and to get the electricity in there, and get the floors done and get our new kilns. So that was a big part of the drama, was when are we going to get into that building? But once we did, we started cruising, and it really helped us get to the finish line, if we did get to the finish line, which I'm not going to give away.
Yes, if you did get to the. All right, let's talk. We can't talk about this film without really. There's so many people. Narcissus, because yeah, that was a Hail Mary pass, I guess we'll call that. I mean, God, definitely, if we believe in God or whatever word you want to say, the universe, whatever word, was watching over this project. Definitely watching over, even though, and a lot of prayers, I'm sure, went up about this project too. So
No doubt about it. Yeah, Narcissus showing up onto the scene was just incredible. I mean, because he's somebody who everybody knows about when you're in stained glass, but he seems like a guy that's way out there. And so when I found out that he was going to be in Denver, it felt really close. And the fact that it was happening at the time it happened, and the image even that he posted to promote the class, it looked a lot like some of the imagery I had in my window. So it just felt like, I beelined out there and went right to him on day 1 of his workshop and said, I need your help. And we hit it off right away. And his way is kind of wild, because he's an incredible artist, a maestro, a legend, and he's done it all and been everywhere and had all these incredible successes. But at the same time, he has a lot of humility, and he knows that the things that he has learned and discovered about glass, that they need to live on. So his whole mindset was, I need to teach you what I know so that it can live on and you can teach other people. And that's what he did. He was this great blend of kind of an amazing character with a lot of brash and wild ideas, and then also this very tender-hearted, giving person. So you couldn't draw up a character, I don't think. Justin, if he could have sat down and tried to create this character, I don't think he could have done it.
No, no. And but in this, you did clash with him, even though he's the maestro in this. I feel there was a lot of growth for you, Tim, through this process. There's a lot of I'm going to say there's a lot of internal growth that took place, and some of it has to do with the relationship that you had with him, but also this project itself. So do you want to talk a little bit about that for you?
Yeah, no, you see at the beginning of the film that I was very content in my job. I was very content in what we were doing. I didn't have any desires to go beyond being the designer at Judson Studios for my whole career. And then by the end of it, I'm launching off on my own, and I'm doing a whole new technique. And it was a huge transformation, and I didn't expect it. I really didn't. But that's kind of how life is. Sometimes you think you're going to do something, and you think you know where you're headed, and then something comes along and takes you in a different direction. So I think a big part of it was learning about what glass can do, and it sort of started tickling my fine art desires again that had been dormant. But I also think that Narcissus taught me that there was more in me than just being a commission artist for a company and writing the name Judson on all my work. He sort of taught me that there's an artist in me that needs to come out. And he taught me how to be that artist by how to take things seriously, and how to be committed to a project, and how to go beyond what you think you need to do to make something happen. So I think he was a huge part of it. The project was a huge part of it. And then just my natural growth as a person was part of it. But it's wild to see it all happen in a span of 2 hours in a movie.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Justin, for you, what was the most difficult part of shooting this documentary?
Well, first off, this was my first feature documentary.
Well,
So everything I had done up to now has been scripted. So I knew going in what the blueprint was for making the thing. I had already established my shots. I'd already thought about, all the characterization that needed to come out. I knew all of it beforehand. Um, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So every day I showed up, I had to figure out, well, what are they doing? Where do I need to be? And I had never shot glass before. I didn't know hardly anything about glass when I started. So everything was a mystery. So you asked what the most difficult part was. Um, all of it. I mean, as you see Tim freaking out on his side of the camera, I was flipping out on my side. And I had a few people that would come in every now and then to help me film, and on the bigger days and whatnot. And I had enough experience on my prior movies, but I had never sort of like been the main videographer, on this day to day, and figuring out the audio. I was running the audio too, so I'm like doing the audio, running the cameras, trying to figure out what to get. I was I was a bit of a nuts a lot of the time, but hey, man, it was wild. I had such a ball doing it for sure.
and
Yeah.
how many years did you actually, I know the project took over 3 years. How many years did it actually take for you to film this?
Well, I filmed for about 3.5 years, almost four. Tim and I thought about it because I filmed for a year after they completed the window, and so because I wanted to see what was going to happen, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to see what was going to happen with Tim and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
with the documentary, you're not scripting it. You need an ending. You don't know where it's going to end, and um, so I had to keep filming until I felt like, okay, I know how this story ends. And then after that, it was 3.5 years of editing.
That's what I was going to ask
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And then 2 years of festivals. So we are coming up on 9 years of this thing
Wow,
as it's
wow,
coming out into theaters. Yeah.
wow, wow. How has it changed you? I asked him how it changed him. How has it changed you?
I used to say I never wanted to do a documentary because I love trying to create the world. And obviously, when you're doing something scripted, you want people to believe it. It's got to be real, and so the characters and all of it has to serve it feeling real, so it can translate into humans having a real experience. what I love about this, and I don't know why I was resistant to doing docs, because when something really happens, it really happened.
Mm-hmm.
And when a character breaks, they break. When something beautiful occurs, it occurs. Quentin, his story was so amazing, the things he said. And I actually fell in love with it. And so I am no longer saying I won't do documentaries anymore. I want to keep doing documentaries and scripted. But what really happened to me is, how often do you get to see someone truly transform in real time?
Mm-hmm.
That's just not something we get to do as
Right.
people very often. We're not around people that much. I was so embedded in this. I got to watch Tim truly transform, Quentin transform, and it was affecting to me. It's
Mm.
made a lasting impression on me. And so much so that I and Tim started another business together.
Oh, what
Um,
is that?
yeah, which is called Vitrionics, and we are working on a TV show pilot, among other things. We're doing educational videos that are really fun and wild, and a YouTube channel. And there's not enough to film because this is a brand new thing.
Yeah.
It's truly brand new what they're doing, and so that changed my life completely. I never thought I'd be doing that for sure. Yeah.
Exciting. So it's worth the 9 years that you put into it, and again, life changing.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have grayer hair because of it all, but then,
Don't
there's
we
that.
all?
Right.
uh, Tim, Justin brought up Quentin. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about Quentin? Because that is an interesting, really wonderful story.
Yeah, Quentin is a guy that just happened to show up on the scene because he was in a bad way in his life. You know, he had been involved with drugs and was running away from home, and he was having a lot of issues at age 19. And his background was as a car mechanic. He was really into cars. So when he stumbled into the studio looking for a job at the request of his stepfather, who was David Judson's brother, so there was a little connection there. But he had no skills with glass. But what he had that a lot of people didn't have was the right attitude, and he had a feeling of real desire to learn and to stay late and to work hard and to use the skills that he did have and translate them into other things. And that's what we took advantage of over that time, because we needed people, we needed help. As you saw, Narcissus and I were just kind of going crazy. And so we were going through a lot of people in the studio. People would come in and, it's too hot, it's taking too long, all of these sort of things. And, it's hard to find really good people who don't necessarily need to have the skills, but they need to have the desire and the work ethic. And that's what Quentin had. So it's a good lesson for anybody that you can go a long way in a very short period of time, just by the way that your attitude, how far your attitude takes you. And his was amazing. He had these background mechanic skills, so he just dug in and helped us with the kilns. He helped us, with a lot of the dirty work in the beginning, but then he started to learn some skills. He started to learn how the glass works. He paid attention. He stayed late and he watched Narcissus and I work. And then by the end of the film, you start to see a real growth, and he starts making artwork, and he starts to really feel that he's got a future in this medium, and he does. And he's still going strong at Judson. He's probably been there almost 10 years now, and he's running the place. He's doing everything that they need for him to do. And it's really been great to see him grow and to, turn into something that is so different than how he started.
Right, right. And I think probably for everyone, just having that support and that vote of confidence to give someone, if we invest in people, and give them the ability to feel better about themselves and believing in them, and they begin to believe in themselves, and then it just continues to grow, kind of going back to Oprah. It's kind of an Oprah moment in a way. And just that, and it was an interesting it was wonderful watching that, because again, it was another part of again, the universe working in mysterious ways, right?
It's the archetypes. The story has all of it. It's like this ensemble cast and all these these stories within stories that emerge, you know.
Yeah.
There's so many different ones, but like you said, and everybody's a part of it, and everybody's story is told. And you know, the church, same thing, right? You learn a lot about the people at the church. You learn a lot about David Judson. You learn a lot about business and the boss and the employee, the mentor, all these amazing archetypes that I think are resonating with people, because it's people can identify with a lot of these little stories. And Quentin had to put up with me, which is not. I was not always a very nice person, and I do get a little bit uncomfortable when I watch some of the
Yeah.
things that I did to people. But hey, that was a badge of honor for him as well. I survived 3 years of Tim, but
I can do anything now if I can survive Tim.
I survived Narcissus.
Maybe that's it. You know, and honestly, Jan, what was amazing is that Tim, he didn't hold back. He just was him,
Right.
and everyone just let themselves be who they were. And you know, I think maybe it's because I was there so often that I just sort of started to disappear, and they forgot about me. That was my hope. I wanted to watch this thing play out in real time. I didn't want to just have a talking heads doc, but they truly did just become comfortable, and you get to see people be messy. And I think that's beautiful, because it really is all of us, right? It's really all of us. And to see messy people fall forward and grow, I think is just such an amazing thing to be a part of and to see. And I couldn't believe it. I as he said, like, I feel like I walked in to like an already cast movie that someone wrote, and I thought, what am I? This is incredible. It was truly a gift. It was a gift.
That's a wonderful way to say it, Justin. It really, it's a gift for the audience too, because there's a lot, again, for all of us too. We can see ourselves in many of the people that are in this documentary, and learn from it and grow from it. Let's talk. Speaking of that, let's talk about Pastor Adam Hamilton, who was the person who got this whole ball rolling. Justin, you want to talk a little bit about Adam Hamilton?
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, I was the most scared. I mean, I had to ask everyone along the way, may I please come into your world? And do you trust me? You don't know me, to film all the things. And I was kind of terrified to call him, because if he said no, I mean, obviously, if everyone said no, it wouldn't have worked. But
Right.
I kind of felt like, because I knew Tim, we were kind of okay there. But if he said no, then this wasn't going to work at all. And they definitely did their homework on me. They wanted to know more about me, and I wouldn't say they were skeptical, but they were wise to look. And so I had to basically have a conference call with Adam and the people that truly work, you know, side by side with him, and win them over. And so, you know, there's this stereotype you have about a mega church. I mean, they are the biggest mainline church in America, and now they're almost 30,000 people, I think. You have an image of what they are supposed to be like, right? Everyone talks about mega churches.
Right.
They are the dearest, the most real people. They're not the stereotype. I couldn't believe. I mean, if you think of a church, and most people think churches are just these really conservative, stodgy places, their church is like 50-50 split between Democrat and Republican. I mean, how can that happen in America today? And yet there's something about the place that creates a synergy that's just amazing. And it has to do with Adam. He has created an atmosphere that's amazing. He is an incredible author. You know, he spoke at Obama's second inauguration. Like, in his own right, he's an impressive person.
Right.
He was so caring and genuine and authentic, and that pretty much blew me away. And I mean, Tim can talk about, you know, the process of working with him, but he was completely trusting me to film all of it. He said, we don't want to have any editing notes at all, none. And I thought, well, I mean, you know, you wouldn't want to do it that way, any other way, but it was cool of them to say that. So.
Well, he also, the only thing he wanted was more cursing in the movie. Because as a church, we don't have enough F-bombs.
Yeah.
So we had to audio dub a few of those extra ones in.
I'm really grateful that neither one of you used those. So just to give a disclaimer before
Sure.
I interview that we can't really say those words
Oh yeah.
on the radio. My editor has approached me.
Yeah, there's no way to get through a 3-year project with all that drama without having a couple of slips of the tongue here or there.
Yes,
But it's pretty cool that the church, again, with all of that said, was still willing to sort of let us show the warts and all of something like that, because it is a real thing. And, we're not perfect people. We say things and we do things in the moment, but that's all part of growing and it's all part of living. And so I think the testament to them is they're like, we're not editing you. We want people to see what this is really about.
That's really great. Really, really, really fast, because I don't have a lot of time left, but real fast, Tim, tell everyone what Frit is, Holy Frit.
Oh, yeah. So Frit is ground up glass.
Okay.
It is no different than sheet glass. It's just been pulverized into tiny little grains. And so the way Bullseye does it is they take their sheet glass and they grind it down, and then they sift it into different grain sizes. So Frit can be anything from a small chunk, like maybe the size of a big salt crystal, to a real fine grain like a powder. And they sell it in different grain sizes. And so Frit is used to create the painterly effects that you see in the window.
And it really is, it's just beautiful. It's just gorgeous. Real fast, Justin, where can people see Holy Frit?
Holy Frit is having its first public LA premiere at the Limley in North Hollywood, starting Friday, and it's running all week there. Tim and I will be there Friday and Saturday. It starts at 7:30. We're Q&A after, and it's going to be a great time. We really hope to see you there. This is an exciting moment to bring it home.
Wonderful. Thank you both for being on. Yes.
Jen, one more thing. It's also in a lot of different places. There's it's all over the country right now. I think it's in Michigan, and if you go to holyfrit.com, you can see all the different screenings and all the different places it's playing now and coming up.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I wish you much success with this documentary. It is. Everybody really, you'll think, oh, how can that be even interesting? But it really is fascinating. So I wish you both much success, and I look forward to having you back on with your next project.
Awesome, Jan. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks.